Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Main Event Interviews. My name is Main Event, and today we're being joined by Acrid. Hello, Acrid.
Hey, hey, how's it going?
It's going great. And where in the world are you, Acrid? I'm curious. Like, what country are you in?
I'm in the United States, New York State, actually.
Okay, awesome. We've been interviewing people from all over the world on this show, and now you're, I believe, the third person from the United States. So far, the United States is winning as far as numbers go on this show. But great to have you on the show. And what brought you to Steemit? I'm kind of curious. What brought you to the platform?
Well, I am part of a group of people who were part of a group of gamers and friends who used to play a game called March of War. The game actually got shut down, and everybody came together and decided to build a sort of spiritual successor to the game. So I was looking for ways to fund the project and market it at the same time, and it seemed like Steemit was a good opportunity. It turns out that it was, and I actually ended up falling in love with it myself and have been using it personally instead.
Did you say how long you'd been on the platform? How long have you been on Steemit?
Well, I've been on Steemit since the very end of May.
I'm curious how you found out about it. Was it like a friend, or was it something you maybe read about online? How did you find out about it?
Actually, I was watching YouTube one night and I fell asleep with it on, and it just kind of, kept on playing through random videos. And when I woke up, there was somebody on there talking about Steemit, and I was like, hey, that sounds pretty cool. Let me check it out.
Wow, that actually kind of sounds like fate or something. So literally you were just asleep and woke up and there it was.
Yep, exactly.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. I also discovered it through YouTube. It was just, basically other people who make content on YouTube just talking about it, talking about how they were moving over to this platform. And so I thought, what the heck? I like social media. So I went over and checked it out. And yeah, I also fell right in love with it. Are you posting on Steemit a lot, or are you mostly just, reading other people's content?
I do a lot of both. Well, I should be posting more than I actually do. I only post about, on average, 3 times a week or so. But it varies in what I post about. Mostly it's about whale shares and contests that I host.
Now, whale shares is something that I am slightly familiar with. I've heard of it. I've read a little bit about it, but if you'd like, go ahead and tell our listeners more about what whale shares is.
Sure. Whale shares is a tool and community. The Whale Shares tool is a user issued asset on the BitShares exchange that allows you to trade in that token for a vote from a whale. Right now, there's 2 whales active, and that's Official Fuzzy and Fuzzy Vest. Fuzzy Vest uses Beyond Bit tokens, and that's geared more towards uh, sort of Steam gig type enterprise where he has people perform actions or activities, use their skill set to do work, and they get rewarded in Beyond Bits. Whale Shares is given away by him to a few people, and they distribute them to the rest of the community in the form of random giveaways and contests.
So basically, people get them from, like you said, giveaways and contests and things like that. So what actually happens when they get one? Like, if they, let's say they received 5 whale shares, what would that do for them?
Well, if they receive 5 whale shares, they can go ahead and send that to the whale shares account on BitShares, and they list the URL. There's actually a memo link that you can get from whaleshares.net, and you put it in the memo, and it will automatically, with the help of a bot, obviously, give an upvote to the post that you desire that's listed in the memo.
Awesome. And I think I saw somewhere that is it basically like one whale share is like a 1% vote. Is that how that works?
Yes, exactly. One whale share is worth 1%. So if you use 5 whale shares, then you can get a 5% vote.
And is
all
it?
the way up to 100.
You said it comes from a whale, right? The vote that you get.
Yes, the whale shares vote is from Official Fuzzy, who has about he has over 150,000 SP. And if you use Beyond Bits, the whale is Fuzzy Vest, which last I knew had over 500,000, I believe.
Wow, that's really awesome. So, you said people could get these basically through like contests and stuff. Is that pretty much? It does. Is there a whale shares Steemit profile, or is it individual people doing those?
Well, it's mainly Fuzzy that has been the main contributor to this project.
Okay, so
And I
he's.
actually just looked it up. Fuzzy Vest account has 357,000 Steam power.
Oh wow, awesome. So basically, he's the one that would be doing the contests and things like that normally, right?
Well, he has a weekly Beyond BitShares hangout that he has people present their projects on, and he, in a sense, funds the progress of the projects when they present them to him in a manner that's sort of like Shark Tank.
Oh, okay, very cool. That's awesome. This is all new information to me. I personally had not heard about it. Is there a particular post or profile that people should go look at if they're interested in whale shares?
Well, if anyone's interested in whale shares or Beyond Bits, then I would recommend going to the Discord, whale shares Discord room. I have links up all over on every one of my posts. There's a few people who do as well. We have some good community created tutorials if anybody needs help using them or understanding exactly how to do it.
Okay, yeah, that's very cool. So yeah, that's a group on Discord, you said, right? And
Correct.
so yeah, I'm looking at your Steemit profile, and we will share that in the chat room and the show notes after. Of course, it's Acrid on Steemit, AKRID, and that I'm assuming that Discord link that's right in your bio is for the Whale Shares room.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. First, that's awesome. It says that you're a mod on there, right, for the chat?
That's correct. I am. I'm one of the main contributors for hosting contests and giveaways.
Oh, okay, awesome. What types of contests do you guys typically do usually?
Well, there's all sort of things. It's geared more towards the benefit of minnows. So, for instance, I have two running right now. One of them is one that JP Henderson created called Minnow Support Contest. And we ask people to nominate a minnow who they believe should be getting more attention and more rewards in the comments. And we check out their post. And if it's really good, then we reward both the poster and we reward both the nominator and the nominated with some whale shares.
That's really cool. So you guys are obviously helping the community, you're helping content creators, you're helping curators. I really like that. I'm all about that. So I think that's really cool. Again, we're talking about whale shares and we're visiting with Acrid today. Acrid, I see on your profile that you're doing a contest. It looks like you're doing a cover image contest currently, huh? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just announced that one today. I realized that all these people have some awesome banners up on their page, and I'm like, hey, how do I get one of those?
Now, is this something you're just running? How long is that contest running for?
It's up for 7 days until the post closes.
Okay, cool. Now, do you want something in that that's like whale shares related, or are you just looking for something for your own personal background?
Just for my own personal profile, but of course, I'm whale shares is really meaningful to me, so it would be okay if that was featured in the banner.
Are you involved in any other kinds of groups or anything on Steemit? I know you're big on in the whale shares group, of course. Are you? Do you do any other kind of groups or like weekly post content or anything like that?
Well, there's mostly whale shares that I'm involved in. I hang out in Steemit.chat, and occasionally I get over to SteamSpeak once in a while, but mostly my mod duties and whale shares keep my attention over there.
Now you mentioned you said you use Steemit.chat sometimes too.
Yes.
What is your opinion on that? Because I mean, I used it a little bit when I first started on Steemit, but then once I discovered Discord, it's like I pretty much never went back. What is your opinion on that, as far as for listeners who are listening right now? Because I know I was a little bit confused whether I should be on the Steemit chat or on the Discord chat. What do you think new users should be doing?
Well, new users automatically gravitate towards Steemit.chat, and the reason is because when you first sign up, it's in the FAQ as one of the featured chat services, and it's actually listed first. Last I knew, so the newest users always go to Steemit.chat, and they go there to ask questions, to get help. I don't mind. I actually enjoy helping people and answering their questions, so I try to put some time over there when I can.
Are there particular rooms that you think that users should be looking at? Because I know when I went over there, it seemed like it was just this big sea of, post promotion rooms and all that kind of stuff. Everybody's just spamming their links all over the place. Do you recommend people kind of just go into the general chat and talk to people there?
Yeah, I usually spend most of my time in general chat, or once in a while I share something in post promotion. There used to be a lot more people that actually curated from post promotion, and it doesn't seem to happen as much anymore. But usually general chat is the most lively.
So, Akrid, you said you've been on Steemit since about May. What are some things you really love about the platform?
Well, I love that a lot of people can come together and be allowed to openly express their viewpoints or ideas, their knowledge, and it allows everybody else who's reading the platform to learn something new every time they open somebody's post. And it's rewarding all around. So the people who are reading the post are being rewarded with either curation or the general knowledge they, get from reading it. And the people who are posting can be allowed to earn their share of money that they would otherwise be wasting if they were blogging elsewhere.
Before Steemit, had you ever really blogged at all, or was this your first experience with all of that?
Absolutely not. I never blogged. I considered it, but never did anything to, to never did anything to actually follow through with it.
No, I never did either. So Steemit was my first blogging experience too. I mean, I had put stuff on Facebook or whatever, but never really taken the time to format it into a blog, I guess, or actual put it on a blog website. And I definitely agree with you about, how Steemit can make a place for people to post their creativity and to, share their knowledge with other people. And I'm sure it's inspiring people who maybe never wrote about their hobbies or topics or things that they enjoy before, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that's great is that there's people who do like art and music, and they do it because they love it. And sometimes it can be at a steep cost. Those art supplies are not cheap. And if they can share their art with an online community and get a little bit of compensation for that, that's, even more reason to be able to continue with what you love doing.
Yeah, because it seems like, when these people share their things on Facebook, I mean, they'll get some likes and comments and stuff, but I mean, it's just kind of lost in the sea of everything else on there, right? And it seems like Steemit, people will actually, give you some constructive feedback. They'll genuinely show interest in your content. And don't you think it's a totally different experience than other social media?
Right, absolutely, because the constructive feedback is actually rewarded as well. People can upvote the comments, and if you have a really good comment, you can get paid for it.
And on the other end of the spectrum, it kind of controls the trolls and the haters and the people who are just going to get on your
Right.
post and say, "Oh, you're terrible," just because for
Right.
whatever reason. So, yeah, I think that part of it is really great. What other aspects of Steemit do you enjoy?
I enjoy the fact that it brings a lot of people together, a lot of people with similar interests. So I can go to a room like Whale Shares, and there's a lot of people there are who have the same mindset to either help the community in general or to participate in contests or giveaways. There's a lot of talented people that show up too, and we get to network with all sort of different types. I'm sure in some of the circles that you hang out in, there's people who are more in tune with your type of talent and interest, and you can throw ideas back and forth, work collaboratively on projects, and basically do better than you could have by yourself.
And the other thing I really like that it's people all over the world. I mean, it's not just
Yeah,
people here in the U.S. or in your home state or whatever, or people you went to college or high school with or whatever. These are people
absolutely.
all over the globe, and it's fascinating to me hearing all their different. It's fascinating to me hearing all their different perspectives, on various topics.
Hmm. Definitely, it's truly an international community, and it's great to see um, it all come everybody come together for their purpose.
So we talked about the things we like about Steemit. Now let's flip the coin and maybe talk about a few things that we wish could be a little bit better. What are some things that you're hoping to see improved on the platform?
Let's see here. I don't know if you were around for the last hard fork or not, but it
I
made
was
some
here
pretty.
for Hard Fork, was it 19 when
Mhm.
they changed the reward system and you could only vote 10 times a day or whatever. I was here for that. So I was here I joined about the same time as you in May. So
Oh, okay, right, right. Yeah, so the hard fork was excellent, and it made two changes. One of the changes was excellent, linear rewards. It gave a greater focus on, I would say, 99, gave more power to 99% of the members on Steam. Now, the other half of the changes was in the form of, like you said, the you only get 10 votes per day. Now,
and that's at
I
100% weight, right?
right, that's at 100% weight, so 10 full votes per day. Now, that used to be 40 full votes because it would draw zero point 0.5 away from your voting power instead of 2% at a full vote. Now, I believe I believe that was an error on their part that started drawing a lot from the rewards pool, and it made it so people could not interact with as many posts as they would have otherwise liked to, especially people with less than 500 Steam power, because they don't even have a slider to be able to change how much weight they put towards a vote. And it also allowed the bots and automated like spammers and voting circles, it allowed them to do more with less effort. They didn't have to do 40 automated processes anymore. They could just focus on 10 accounts, throw 10 votes, and reward themselves just like that.
So you're saying that you feel like that whole thing, as far as limiting the number of votes, you think that was a mistake and you think that should be changed. I agree. I feel like the other thing I don't quite understand, and maybe you can help me on this. Why do they wait until you're at 500 Steam power to give you the slider?
I have no idea.
That's something I
I
think could
truly
be
don't know.
changed. I mean, once I got that slider, I was like, "Oh, this is so awesome!" Because I mean, you could give like a smaller vote to like a comment on your page. You don't have to give it a whole 100% vote. What is your feeling on that? Because that's something I kind of don't completely understand fully about Steemit is the way the voting works. So if I vote a post at say a 50% weight versus a 100% weight, does that change everything as far as the rewards and everything goes?
Yeah, so when you vote at 50% weight as opposed to 100% weight, it will draw 1% away from your remaining voting power pool. So your voting power pool starts at 100%. and it diminishes with each vote you cast. If it's a full vote, it diminishes at 2% per full vote. And if you vote at a 50%, then it'll diminish at 1% of the remaining voting power pool. I believe that everybody should be allowed to change their vote weight, because when you vote for something, there's a few reasons you vote for people. Obviously, you vote for them because they're your friend. You vote for them because they genuinely did an excellent job with the article. You vote for them for whatever reason you want, and it's not always equal. So you shouldn't always be forced to reward somebody with the same quality or amount.
Other people might argue this too, but I don't necessarily feel like comments are as worthy of a big vote as a full-fledged post. I mean, granted, sometimes people write a nice big long comment and it's as long as a regular post. I had a guy do that today on something I did. He wrote this big long comment, and and then he's like, "Oh, well, I should have just made a post out of that." It's like, "Yeah, probably." But I definitely like being able to vote. Even if it's a short comment. I mean, not a spam comment, but something short and quick. You're probably not going to throw 100% vote down on that. You could throw something smaller, at least reward them a little bit, a few cents here or there. I think it all adds up in time. But yeah, the slider at 500, I don't know about that one. If anybody's out there listening and you have any power, I don't know. I think that should be given almost to new users, because I think it would encourage them. It would make them understand a little more about the voting power.
Right, absolutely. I definitely agree. And as far as I know, from what I remember, the comments did used to be rewarded less than the actual post was, just naturally. I think they got rid of that with the hard fork also. I believe that everybody should be allowed to use a slider, just like you. And there is a guy that hangs out in whale shares called Alex P. Morris. He actually developed a little plugin that would allow people to use this slider. I haven't tested it personally, but he said that it's working. And
I always wondered about that, and I think I have heard of that, or it was either that service or another service that gave the slider to people with less than 500 SP. I personally never did that. I just waited until I got it on my own, but it's something I think that would help a lot of new users. What other things are you hoping maybe get improved or changed in the platform?
Well, it's hard to say. There's a lot of things that can be improved. Obviously, it's basically comes down to being able to limit the abuses of the platform, which right now is mostly self-voting or flagging people that can be abused the worst at this point, I think.
So, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I mean, that is a topic to me that seems like that's basically the biggest hot button topic right now on Steemit, is the whole self-voting conspiracy, right? You got people on one side that think, oh yeah, it's totally fine, do it, it's there, whatever. I'm gonna upvote every one of my things, whether it's a comment, not me personally, but some people do it. I personally have stopped self-voting. I haven't self-voted on anything in quite a while. Just personal preference. If that little bit that I would have gave myself really didn't make a big difference on my post, so I'd rather give it to somebody else. But what is your opinion on it? Do you think they should just get rid of it altogether?
I made a post about this a few weeks back, just like everybody else has recently.
Yeah.
Now I'm not against self-voting, but I'm against unregulated self-voting. So there's people who I was following and voting on their posts, and they would vote on every single one of their posts. They would post 10 times a day. They would vote on every one of their comments, and get money from the rest of the community and whatever they could give themselves as well, and just hoard it all. They wouldn't give back to the platform whatsoever. So I don't think it's inherently wrong to vote on your own post. I do it when I post, I vote on it, but I only post maybe 3 times a week. So I think that it should be limited to where you can only upvote your own posts, maybe 2 or 3 times, and then the rest should be distributed freely to the rest of the community. Because if the if everybody in the ecosystem acted like that, there would be no incentive whatsoever to continue uh, growing the platform. It would just be a tool to just pay yourself with a currency that would be utterly worthless in the end if all the legitimate people backed out.
I totally agree. And like I said, I personally have just basically stopped self voting for a while. I don't know if I might, if we get some more clarification on the issue, I might continue at some point. But for now, I've just said, no point in doing it. And that could be foolish. I don't know. I get mixed opinions about that. But for now, I'm just gonna stay off it.
Some people say they can do whatever they want with their, voting power and their Steam power that they purchased. That goes both ways. That goes, they can reward themselves or they can punish others. And I do see the community coming together and doing that more frequently lately. That's because I feel like the platform has passed a barrier. Before, there was more legitimate use of the platform by new members and daily posting, commenting, sharing their content, uh, interacting with each other's content, and it has diminished drastically because some people just find that it's not at all rewarding for them whatsoever, and they leave, and that's sad. I don't think that it should be that way.
No,
I
definitely
noticed
not.
that new members have a very, very hard time gaining followers. When me and you first started, we could get 100 followers in a week. Now, new members that signed up last month, they still haven't been able to get 50 or 100 doing the same exact things that you and I were able to do.
Yeah, I think we joined like at that magic time. It seemed like there was a whole bunch of
Mm-hmm.
people that jumped on around like the month of May, beginning of June, around then. A lot of the people I see in leadership roles around Steemit, they're becoming witnesses, they're becoming moderators, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, no, but back to what we were talking about. I totally agree, and hopefully there will be some kind of a solution to the whole thing. Just spell it out. Like this is going to be the rules, and everybody's got to abide by them, and we'll see what happens. Because I think there's
Yeah.
also the flip side for people who are doing really well on Steemit to get discouraged, because I mean you got these people who might build up a lot of Steam power, and they might go upvote some of their stuff, not trying to be crazy about it, but then you're going to have somebody coming over and say, well, they made $80 on their post. Well, it's like, well, yeah, they've got 100,000 Steam power.
Right.
Like that's
Exactly.
gonna happen. Like I've seen that too, where people they say, oh, well, that post shouldn't be worth that much, let's flag it. And it's like, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
like that's where it starts getting kind of dicey for me.
Right. Exactly. There's people who want to police the content that's created, and I don't think that's as necessary as pointing out obvious abuses.
So you've been on the platform a bit. You're kind of a veteran now. You're a moderator in the chat. You're involved in a pretty large group on Steemit. What type of advice do you have out there for new minnows? Because most of the people who probably are going to listen to this are newer users. They might not be brand new, but some of them might be. What types of advice would you give anybody really on Steemit?
Okay, well, I always recommend people to post, once or twice a day. I don't think that people should be posting more than 3 times a day because that gets them in the habit of upvoting their own post, and it doesn't allow them to distribute their, share that they can out to the community. They should be able to interact with other people's posts at the same time. So I always recommend 1 or 2 posts per day, usually around the same time, because that's exactly when your followers that you've built up are going to be on, when your audience is going to be there to read it. And I also recommend that you go out, read posts, comment something on their post that it is valuable and constructive, and you will be rewarded for that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Steemit is amazing. It's a very unique platform. I've fallen in love with it. It seems like you have too. And if anybody's out there listening and you're just brand new, don't get discouraged. Just be yourself and post about things that you care about and that you're passionate about, and just put up original content that you've created. And I guarantee you, there's going to be a bunch of people out there who will probably value that, and who are going to enjoy it and try to help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll always find somebody to appreciate your work if you put, a little bit of effort into it. Now, I find that artists fall into the trap of, they share their art and it's just an image like they would share on, like Instagram or something, and they're not rewarded for it. The community tends to like a story to go along with with their visual image that they see. So I would recommend people who are artists or have share their music or something. Go ahead and write like a paragraph about it. What thoughts were you having when you created it? What specific tools did you use? What's your background, or how long did it take? Anything. People will reward a story with the image more than just the image itself.
Yeah, definitely. I noticed that seems to be a trend for new users, or just inexperienced users, is they treat Steemit like they treat their other social media. They think they can
Right.
just throw a picture on there and it's going to get 100 likes or whatever, and it's just not how it works on Steemit. And don't you agree that there's a certain level of expectation for content on Steemit? Like you were saying, people are going to be looking for that story, the above and beyond kind of thing on Steemit.
Absolutely. I mean, I vote different weights for different quality of content, and I even vote if it interests me more than something else. So I find myself being pretty critical of people's work, and I expect no less from other people about mine as well.
So if you're a minnow out there, or someone who's just getting going on Steemit, it's more about quality over quantity. I think that's something I've driven home in every interview I've been with so far with people, is they usually agree that, rather, and like you said, instead of posting 10 times a day on Steemit, just do one or two posts, but put in the amount of time that you might have spent on 10 posts on those two. And more than likely the visitors are going to come because you're going to have created quality content versus just a bunch of posts.
Right. And not only that is, I think people can tell when there is effort put towards it. I can tell if somebody just throws something up and doesn't care about adding value to it, and I can tell when people take the time and effort to do it right, have proper formatting, or so it's not always about quality, because not everybody can be the best at everything. But if you take time and effort, people can tell. And there is also the opportunity to get involved in different communities on, say, Discord and Steemit chat. You make friends and they will reward you as well at the same time, you know?
Yeah, and not to discourage anybody, when I said quality, I mean you don't have to be the best by no means. Work
Right.
within your own abilities, of course, but do your best. I think that's a better way to say it. Don't just throw something on there just because, like you would on Facebook or something. Like, take the
Mhm.
time. Look into some formatting. Make sure your punctuation stuff's kind of there a bit. Take your time, and I think you will most likely be rewarded for it, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Well, all right, Acrid. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to visit with me today. Was there anything else you wanted to add, or anything like that?
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of people have been doing campaigns to invite new people to Steam it lately. And I'm going to be doing a post about this soon. I just haven't, taken much time to put towards writing it up. But I have also invited some friends to Steam it, and there's different, there's different things that I don't think that just anybody on the street should be invited to Steemit. I think that there's certain criteria that people should meet before they are invited to Steemit, not in any discouraging way, but in the sense that if they have these certain traits that they will be more likely to succeed. For instance, artists and writers and people who are willing to take that time to create content, not just because it makes them money, but because they truly love to do it. It's always good to invite people like that if you have friends like that.
I know I find myself looking when I'm on things like Facebook now, and I see somebody put something on there that's actually genuinely like interesting or funny or something. I'm so tempted to be like, hey, you could have made that a Steemit post, and you probably would have made some
Right.
money on that. But then of course you got the other people who are, yeah, like you said, they're probably gonna just show a picture of their cat every day or whatever, and nothing wrong with that, but just personal preference. I'd rather not see that on Steemit. I think that's where the other social media platforms, you can keep that stuff over there and bring, like you said, content, actual things that people are creating to
Right.
Steemit. I think that's what it's going to be hopefully all about.
Right. And not just that people don't like to see that what they share, it's that they are more likely to get discouraged and give up. And you know I don't want to invite a friend on here and be like, hey, this is great, and then they leave in a week and a half thinking it's a scam.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, start with the people in your life that are creators, like you said, the musicians, artists, writers. It could be really any profession, as long as they're, or not even a profession, but hobbies and things like that. If they genuinely like to create, or they're just creative people, most likely they're going to be good with Steemit.
Yeah, absolutely. If they're willing to make something and then share it with people, they're going to succeed because they're going to have pride in what they've done, and they're going to want to portray it in the most positive light as possible.
And networking is a really big thing too. I know I found that out when I was basically all by myself when I first jumped on here. I didn't know anybody. I kind of floundered around for the first month or so, and then once I discovered some of these little groups and stuff and started actually talking and interacting with different people, that's when my Steemit experience really expanded. Did that pretty much happen to you too?
Absolutely. I took about 2 or 3 weeks doing, not knowing what I was doing, but most of that time was spent learning the mechanics of the platform. It's really hard to understand what is working, what's going on beneath the surface, because it's, the first platform of its kind. So I took a lot of time figuring out exactly how it worked. And then from there, I moved on to communities, partially in search for knowledge about how it worked, because there's the documentation is not very good. But yeah, communities are definitely a great thing to get involved with, and I would definitely recommend Whale Shares. There's, Exactly and Minnows Pal Network and SteamSpeak and Steemit.chat.
There's so many of them now. It's crazy, but they're all good. I mean, they all have
Mm-hmm.
their own unique things. I think I have like 7 or 8 Discord servers going right now on my
Oh yeah,
Discord.
I have more than that, because
Yeah.
people come in, they form their little group, they say, "Hey, I have a great idea, let's build something." And then they build something and they move on and create their own server. So then I become part of that, like for instance, um there's voice shares, and there's different different things, like let's see
Yeah, there's
here.
so many. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I think looking for a niche has one as
Yep.
well. I'm not sure,
Yeah, I'm
but
in I jumped in the Steam venue one has one. Yeah, Steam Speak. There's so many. There's so many. But yeah, no,
yeah,
if you're listening out there and I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you've at least discovered the PAL network, most likely, because this airs as part of the Minnow Support Project. But so definitely branch out and join some of these different groups, see what other users there are out there, and just continue networking and getting to know all your fellow Steemit users, because I think that's going to be your key to success.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to have a community coming together and feeling like you're part of, a network instead of just another blogger on a site.
Well, all right, everybody. We've been visiting today with Acrid. He's again a big supporter of the Whale Shares project, so you can check that out as well. And to find him on Steemit, it's just AKRID. And I really want to thank you so much for visiting with me today, Acrid, and we'll hopefully see you around on the Steemit verse.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for stopping by.